why am I happy about having driven the Kylaq? It's not the handling. I loved the handling, no two ways about it. The reason I am genuinely taken aback is that they've fixed three things which I had kind of resigned myself to, saying that, nah, it's not going to change. And we'll just have to accept it as the affordable Skoda. Okay, so, and Skoda for me, and you know how Skoda's been for us Indians, right? It's been this default. It's almost like a premium brand for us. It's aspirational. It's cool.
Especially the service bills at the beginning, and no longer, that's not the primary picture anymore.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And I started off talking about circles. A lot of people who've posted the questions there, we'll tackle that at the end. So we'll get through the car and we'll get to those later on if we haven't answered them. So the Kylaq, one of the biggest things that I was worried about was the suspension. Okay, because the Kushaq and the Taigun, for me, haven't managed to feel at home in Indian conditions.
Right.
They're great cars to drive, for sure. But can they live in India? Do they feel like they're bred for India? They didn't. They start getting stiff when the roads get rough and you can feel the road surfaces and it gets rattly. And that's not a great experience. That's not a premium experience.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, your benchmark is Creta for the family circuit and the N-line Creta for something slightly more sporty but centered on Indian conditions.
And that's the easy pick for most people. The harder pick is the Grand Vitara, which is not as well equipped, but the Grand Vitara chassis and suspension is brilliant. And if you take that idea and go even further with it being a difficult pick, is the Citroens.
Sure.
Whether it's the Basalt or the Across, which are
the Across, yeah,
amazing, right?
Yep.
So
actually, we've done this in reverse, but you're basically coming to the conclusion that the MB-AO IN platform cars were some of the least India-friendly suspension setups.
Not good enough, which is why for me the Kushaq as the starting point was the concern, because in the same vein the Slavia manages to strike a much better balance. It's more plush. It's something that you can enjoy in our conditions, and people consider it as a sedan, so it's impractical. And I agree that, for some people the parking can be a problem because it's longer. But it's only 9 millimeters less in terms of ground clearance compared to the Kushaq.
Sure. And why are you parking your car yourself? You should be doing better than that by now if you have a Slavia, right?
So, okay. So that was one of my biggest concerns, because if you take a car that had this, let's call it slightly brittle suspension, and you make it smaller.
Brittle in feeling, not actual breakage.
Not that in terms of feel. So if you take that and you shrink the package down,
it could get worse, and quite a lot worse. Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because this is based on the Kushaq platform, but it's smaller. It's under 4 meters in overall length. The wheelbase has shrunk. So you could find the car to feel more reactive.
And we have a example that goes in reverse too. So if you look at the Thar and the Thar rocks, the Thar actually rocks. The old Thar with the two-door, three-door.
Three-door.
It would go like this over all the roads, and we were all expecting that the 5-door would do better because the wheelbase will be bigger and it just give the car more geometric stability, as it were. So it would be able to handle the same conditions with less pitching and yaw and movement. That's exactly what he's saying, but in reverse.
Yeah. So that was a concern, and it's not a concern anymore.
So how is it that Mlada Boleslav knows what to do, but the Germany doesn't?
No, so it applies even for Mlada Boleslav, because if you think about the Kushaq, they haven't got it right on that either. And I've taken a video of hitting this one rough patch of road that I use every time when I'm driving in Goa for any of the drives. And this time, I wish I just checked the video before we started recording, and of all the things, somehow the audio is missing on it.
That's okay.
Okay? I wanted you to hear the cabin when I was going over that, because there was not one sound that was cut. There was not
Hello,
one.
That's what you recorded. It has no audio because the cabin was silent, not because there's no audio.
Well, I would love for it to be that good, but there is no ambient on that. But I have some other videos in which you will be able to hear. And generally, the really impressive bit about this car was, and I'm talking about hitting potholes where it's that much of a step and it's like a hard step, it's not gradated. It's just you're going into it, and this is about 30, 35 kilometers an hour. So you'll see me moving around and stuff, but no noise. So the overall composure of the car, the sense of classiness, and this is the thing for me. For me, Skoda has always been classy.
Yeah.
And with this kind of suspension tune in a smaller car, my question to Skoda was, what are you going to do about the Kushaq? Because for me, this is the benchmark Skoda now.
Correct.
Right? Because
this question is to Skoda because technically Skoda is in charge of the entire Volkswagen thing in India. So they control more than Volkswagen as a brand does. That's what he means by asking Skoda about the Kushaq.
And specifically about the Kushaq, because that is their product. That's for them to manage. So the suspension was a big step in the right direction. And not just getting it right, I think they aced it.
Okay.
It might not be the flattest suspension around, but the overall ability that the car's giving you. And seriously, like we know the Kushaq and Taygun, when you really drive hard, like they come alive in terms of the chassis and how they work. Not the best over bad roads at those speeds. Definitely not, because they'll get thrown around. This car,
Nice.
and dude, I mean the same place where I told you where when I was driving the Amaze downhill,
Yeah.
was that, and you could feel the car just. This car, you enter the corner thinking I'm going too fast for this corner. You enter the corner and then you accelerate more.
Nice.
Because you're like, nah, this is nothing. It's literally like that.
Nice. This sounds really impressive.
Listen, this has been fun, and I think we should take this to the next level. I think our relationship's ready for it. And if you're ready, head to the MotorInc channel, where this 3-minute video ends up expanding into a hour-long video, which would be a great way for us to spend time when you're taking a jog, in a flight, commuting to work, or back. We'd love to hang out more.